Blair, we're here today because you've indicated that you want to plead guilty to 2 of the counts that are identified in the information. Since much of today's proceeding will be a dialogue between me and you, the first thing I'm going to do is swear you in.
Okay.
Please raise your hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
What is your name, ma'am?
Mitchelle Blair.
Ms. Blair, how old are you?
36.
Are you a United States citizen?
Yes.
Okay. Before we get to the plea-taking procedure, I'd like to discuss the issue of competency here. I know last Friday you said that you had a number of issues with respect to the Shiner report.
Yes.
However, there already is a forensic center report that deems you competent to stand trial and proceed in this case. Mr. Harris, am I right in understanding you wish to object to the Shiner report in its entirety?
We wish to object to some of the facts that are identified in the Shiner report. We would accept the conclusion that she's competent to stand trial and competent to waive her Miranda and criminally responsible. Your Honor, may I hand you the documents that Ms. Blair has asked me to give to this court with regards to the Shiner report and her responses.
As I understand, these are notes that she made within the Shiner report where she disputes the factual content of the report.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, if there is a stipulation as to the conclusion and the forensic report reached the same, the forensic center reached the same conclusion, and the fact that she's presumed to be competent, I see no reason why I can't enter an order with respect to competency and criminal responsibility. There was a stipulation at the district court level. However, if there was an order entered, that obviously does not make its way to this court. So for completeness of the record, I'm going to enter an order that Ms. Blair deemed competent and criminally responsible in this case, and she was competent to waive Miranda. So with that out of the way,
Your Honor,
go ahead.
I would indicate to the court that as to criminal responsibility, she refused a criminal responsibility examination and
With respect to the forensic center.
And was deemed competent to make that waiver.
Okay. All right, Ms. Blair. Now, the information I have before me is that you want to plead guilty to count 2, the premeditated murder of Stony Blair.
Yes.
And count 3, the felony murder of Stephen Barry.
Yes.
Okay. Am I correct that you want to plead guilty to those counts?
Yes.
Okay. You understand that if I accept a guilty plea, you'll be subject to a mandatory sentence of life in the Michigan Department of Corrections without the possibility of parole for both cases.
I understand.
Okay. You understand Michigan does not have the death penalty?
I do now.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure that you understand this isn't a sentence agreement between you and the people. You're voluntarily admitting to these 2 counts and subjecting yourself to those sentences.
Yes.
Is that correct? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Ms. Blair. I'm going to go over each of the rights. I see that you've signed the settlement offer notice acceptance. So just bear with me. I'm going to read all of these and then ask you if you read them, understand them, and if you have any questions about them, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Do you understand that if your plea is accepted, you will not have a trial of any kind, and that you're giving up the rights that you would have at a trial, including the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have the witnesses against you appear at the trial, to question those witnesses, to have the court order any witnesses that you may have for your defense to appear at the trial. You also have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right to not have that silence used against you, and you have the right to testify at the trial if you want to testify. Do you understand those rights?
I do.
You understand by entering a guilty plea you're waiving those rights?
I do.
Do you have any questions about those rights?
No.
Okay. Do you also understand that if your plea is accepted, you will be giving up any claim that the plea was the result of promises or threats that aren't disclosed to me at this proceeding, and that it was not your own choice to enter the plea? Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. Am I right in understanding that this is your choice to enter this
Yes.
plea? Okay. And do you also understand that if your plea is accepted, any appeal from your conviction and sentence pursuant to this plea will be by application for leave to appeal and not by right? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so if you were convicted by a jury, you would have an automatic right to appeal, but if you enter a plea, you have to convince the Court of Appeals that they have to hear your case. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Ms. Blair, I want to be absolutely clear. Has anyone forced you or threatened you to get you to enter a guilty plea today.
No.
This is your own choice.
Yes.
And you've made this after discussions with your attorney, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Harris, so the record's clear. Do you have any sort of record of how many times you've discussed entering this plea with your client?
At least 3 times, Your Honor.
All right, has Mr. Harris discussed with you that you will need to establish what's known as a factual basis?
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone made any promises to you in order to get you to enter this plea?
No.
Okay. Again, this is your voluntary choice to enter this plea.
It is.
Okay. And subject yourself to a mandatory life sentence.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now let's go through. Ms. Blair, what did you do to Stony Blair that makes you guilty of premeditated murder?
She raped my son. I intentionally killed her.
How did you do that?
Starting from the beginning, when I found out about what Stony was doing to Matthew, it was 9 months later after finding out about Stephen. So for the whole 9 months we were in the house, she was still raping my child. I did not know that. When I first found out, after Maddie told me, I took a minute because I was not understanding, that she did that to him. But I repeatedly punched her. On many occasions, my son, I told him to tell me every single thing she did to him. So as she was telling me, he was telling me more and more things that she did. I assaulted her every time he told me what she did to him. By assault, I mean I punched her. I have put a bag over her head till she lost consciousness. I threw hot water on her, scalding hot water from the faucet.
Did you hit her in the head with a wooden
Yes,
stick?
I hit her on her head multiple times, over and over.
Was that shortly before she died?
That was actually the day before she died and the day she died.
Okay.
I hit her on her back. It's like with her tailbone. I kicked her.
Okay, I just want to clarify a few things. And perhaps you don't know, but did this happen on or about May 25th, 2014? To the
May
best of your
May
recollection?
25th is actually the day she died. Well, the day I killed her.
And you said you killed her by putting a grocery bag over her head?
Yes, that day, Maddie would tell me different things because she was doing this to him for years, and I did not know that. You get what I'm saying? And I didn't find out till 9 months later. She had started with Stephen. She ruined my son, okay? She started with Stephen before he even started. So, yes, I put a bag over her head, but it got worse that day. Yes, I did. It got worse that day because Matthew would tell me how she would take her pad, her menstrual pad, and squeeze her blood out in his mouth, okay? And it was over with after that. It was over with.
You meant to kill her?
I definitely meant to kill her.
Okay. It wasn't an accident?
No, not at all. If I had a chance to do it again, I would.
When you went and got the grocery bag and suffocated her, that was your intent?
Yes. She was standing in the bathtub. I was throwing hot water on her. My son was standing to my right outside the bathroom door, and he was telling me everything he was telling me. I looked at her, and I'm like, "You did this?" And she was like, "Yes." So I actually had a stick, and I was hitting her in the head. Every time he told me something, I hit her very hard in her head, and I was throwing hot water on her. And when I actually took her out of the bathroom, I took her back in her room, and I just kept staring at her, and I said, excuse my language, but I'm like, why the fuck would you do this to him? Just like, I'm constantly asking her. She kept saying, I hate him. And I'm like, you hate him? And she admitted to me that she hated Gabrielle, she hated Stephen, she hated everybody. And I'm asking her why. She says, everybody always think Matthew's so cute. And I'm like, so you fuck your brother, because you get what I'm saying? So I meant to. I definitely meant to. And I do not feel any remorse for what I did to Stoney, because she had no remorse for what she did to my son. And it's not only raped him, she gang raped him with Stephen. Matthew were all sitting on the floor, and he was telling me, this is how I found out about both of them doing it together. But it was too late. Stephen was gone. But Matthew told me that Stoney would actually make him sit there while, in his words, him and Stoney, her and Stoney did the nasty stuff, and then they did it to him. And
So
now
this was
that's
your way of inflicting punishment?
definitely.
Okay. Okay. Where did that happen?
What,
Where did it?
The death?
her actual death?
Yes.
Right
Not the location of the house. Where did you live at the time?
804 St. Albans Street.
Is that in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
can we ask Ms. Blair if she ever actually saw or witnessed any of these acts with regard to Stoney or?
Okay. Yeah. Did you ever actually see anything of any sexual abuse of any kind between either Stephen and Stoney and Matthew?
I reject her question, but I will answer it because no one will say that this did not happen because it actually did.
I just want to have a clear record. Because so far, all you've told me was that you just heard it. Did you ever
And
actually
that they
see it?
admitted it. No, I did
Okay,
not. You
okay.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
But
understand.
as I went back in my head and thought back to all the many things that was wrong with Matthew over the years, and I'm like, that's what was wrong with you? He'll use the bathroom and say, Mom, my butt hurts when I poop. I don't know, Matthew. So I started giving him 100% juice to make his stool softer, maybe to help him use the That wasn't the problem. It wasn't his stool. It was that he was being raped, okay? My son looked me in my eyes and he gave me a very detailed account of everything they did. Matthew is not a violent boy. He is a very sweet little boy. So for him to stand there and look at me and say, do it again, he was hurting. You know?
Okay.
At a certain point, I told him to stop talking. And I said, Stoney, you tell me what the fuck you did to my son. And I said, Matthew, if she say anything that's not right, tell me. She started telling me many things. And I also asked her, so why didn't Stephen tell me, that when I asked him, did anybody do this to him? Why didn't he tell me that you did it to him? Because Stoney was going upstairs, beating Stephen's ass, threatening him. Basically, at a certain point, after I was hitting Stephen, I didn't want to look at him. I didn't want to look at him, so I told him to go to his room. When it came time to eat, I didn't want to take no food up, so I sent Stoney up because she volunteered, not knowing at that time that Stoney was raping either of them. But every time she went upstairs, I wouldn't have known if she hit him or not because I had put many bruises on him. So every time she went upstairs, she admitted to me that she was hitting him also, knocking the hell out of him, telling him, you better not tell her nothing.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I understand. When she admitted these things to you, were you always being physical with her?
The first time, no. We were sitting there.
Okay.
She denied it constantly. I'm like, Stoney, you better tell me the fucking truth. Matthew's sitting here. He don't know nothing about it. He constantly, you get what I'm saying? Who would admit that? Who would admit that if they did not do it?
All right. Tell me what happened to Stephen.
Basically the same thing. Can I ask you a question first? The people standing behind me, this woman who just asked the question, is she trying to make it seem like this did not happen?
No. We just have to have a clear record.
Okay.
Can I have
This
a
is your
moment?
time to talk. Go
Can I have
ahead.
a moment? All we're trying to do is just make sure that the record is clear. Okay. And so, don't worry about what's behind you. Just deal with the question what she asked you.
I mean, right now,
Thank you,
ma'am,
ma'am.
this is just you choosing to plead guilty. The people did not have any sort of plea agreement.
Yeah, because,
with
you know,
at all.
it's like I'm willing to take a polygraph test. It's like, because I understand people don't want to hear me, period, but I'm willing to
I'm
take
here.
on
I'm listening to
everything.
you. Tell me what happened to Stephen.
I came home one day. My daughter, Gabrielle, my oldest, met me at the door, and she's like, Mom, come see what Maddie doing with his dials. And I'm like, what is he doing? He was making one dial, his little wrestle man, hump on top of the other. No, I'm like, Maddie, why was you doing that? I said, anybody ever do this to you? He said, no. I said, then why are you doing that? And he said, yes, Stephen did. And I was like, so this is the first I'm hearing about that, period. This was 9 months before Stoney. Okay, Stoney wasn't downstairs, and she was always in the background. I wish to God I had question everybody together, but I didn't.
Would you
But
say this was around August 30th, 2012?
no, this was before August 30th. August 30th is when he died.
Okay.
This was
When-
maybe a week and a half.
Before he died?
Yes.
Okay. So that, Matthew telling you that set off some action?
Yes, I went
that you did
upstairs
with
because
Stephen
Stephen was upstairs in his and Matthew's room. And I went upstairs and I said, Stephen, Matthew said you was humping on him. And then Stephen stood up and he looked at me, and right then I could tell something was wrong in his face because he was just like this. Any normal kid, I know my kid would have been like, what? That's not what he did. He stood up and looked at me like he had lost his mind, okay? And it just, hearing that from him had me fucked up in my head, period. But I asked him, I said, Stephen, tell me the fucking truth. Was you humping on Matthew? He said, yes, but that was all. And I said, did you hump on him with your underwear off? He said, no. Matthew yelled out, yes, he did. And I just remember going in the hallway, walking back and forth, like, and I walked back up and I was like, you fucked your brother? You get what I'm saying? You fucked your brother. So I'm looking at them too. I'm looking at them like, what? I can't understand. So I started punching Stephen. You know, I'm like, what the fuck is you doing to him? I just started asking him questions. Matthew, at this point, is just spilling out. He's just spilling out. And Mom, and he's doing like this, and he do this thing almost every night. He tell me how he was, the reason I put bags over Stephen's head is because if we had Maddie, I thought Maddie peed in the bed. My son was never a bed wetter. Didn't know it was Stephen waking up every morning pissing on Matthew like he was a damn piece of shit, okay? They had bunk beds. Stephen would get out the bed in the middle of the night. You would rape him in his own bed. You would pee on him instead of going to the bathroom. I'm waking up every morning thinking Matthew's a bedwetter. So we just wash him up and go, you a bedwetter.
Let's talk
So
about what you did to Stephen.
the reason I put bags over Stephen's head is because my son told me that the plastic on his bed, because I thought he was a bedwetter, he said, sometimes, Mom, I couldn't breathe. Stephen was laying on me, and he had my face down, and the plastic on the bed, I couldn't breathe, and he was humping on my butt like a basketball. That's when I got a garbage bag and started putting it over Stephen's head, and I started asking him, bitch, you know what I'm saying? You see what this feel like? You can't breathe? You stop at that's my son. You could not breathe on top of getting raped. You was 6 years old at the time. You get what I'm saying? So I put the bags over his head. He lost consciousness. I did that a couple times. He told me that Maddie would be face down. He had stuff around his neck. So I grabbed Stephen and I grabbed a belt and I put a belt around his neck and I lifted him up like, do you like how this feels, being choked with a belt? So I dropped him. I held him up until he lost consciousness as well.
You were intending to...
No, I did not intend to kill Stephen.
No, I'm not... Listen to my question. You were intending to inflict serious physical harm, but not kill him.
Definitely.
Okay. Did you also punch him?
Yes, I did. Multiple
also kick
times.
him?
Yes, I did.
You talked about choking him. Did you also burn him?
Yes, I did.
Okay, how did you do that?
Hot water, scalding hot water. In our bathroom, the hot water gets extremely hot. So, his private area, I stood him in the bathtub naked. You fucked up my son with your dick, you know? So yes, I threw hot water in his genital area multiple times. Multiple times. Every time Stephen peed in my son's eyes. He put his dick in his ears, his nose. He peed. Matthew even told me one time, Mom, and in my eyes it was gooey, but it wasn't pee. And right then it was like, I didn't even know a 9-year-old could ejaculate. You get what I'm saying? So not only did you do that, you nutted in my son's eyes. So my son had to go through all this shit. So yes, I threw hot water on him repeatedly.
Did that make him burn?
Yes, it did. His skin came off.
Did you
His
also
skin
make
came
him
off.
drink Windex?
Yes, I did, because Matthew told me in the middle of the night he had took him in the basement and he made him drink the blue stuff from under the sink. And I'm like, what blue stuff? So I walked Maddie downstairs. He showed me what I said. You made Maddie drink fucking Windex. And then I went back to like years before, and I'm like, is this what was wrong with him? I thought Matthew had the stomach flu, where you vomit and have diarrhea. You get what, at the same time? At that time, this is what was going around. A lot of people had it, so this is what I thought Matthew had. He didn't. Stephen made him drink Windex. So yes, I made that boy drink Windex.
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify the record. Okay, again, you knew you were seriously harming him, but you didn't intend to murder him.
No.
Okay. But your actions ultimately caused his death.
Yes, they did.
Okay. Were you Stephen's mother?
Yes.
He was in your custody?
I don't claim him as my son now, and I do not claim Stoney as my daughter. I have 2 children. That's it. Stephen and
time he
Stoney
died?
are demons. Period.
Listen to my question. At the time he died, he was in your custody or care?
Yes.
Okay. How old was he?
Stephen was 9.
And again, did this happen at your house in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
What you did to Stephen was punishment for what you did to Maddie, is that right?
For what he did to me.
Sorry,
Yes.
for what Stephen did to
Yes.
Maddie. That was punishment. All
And
right.
if I had killed Stephen intentionally, I definitely would be proud to say I did. But I didn't. But I know all the things that I did to him, how I hurt him, I know it did cause his death. You know what I'm saying? It was like that day, the day that he died, I went in his room, it was throw up in front of him on the bed. I got him up. He said he had to go to the bathroom, but he couldn't use the bathroom. By the time we came out the bathroom, his breathing was crazy. Stephen usually has a strong heartbeat, but it was really faint, really, really faint. And then all of a sudden, he just started going like this, and I was holding him. We were both sitting on the floor, and I'm actually holding him up. Couldn't even hold a sip of him. I'm like Stephen, doing like this, because the day before that, I actually said I'm going to stop, because I looked in the room and like, he is toe up, you know.
Were you starting him at this time as well?
No, I was not. I never starved him, and that's another thing that they're not understanding. He may have lost weight, but because they had their hands in Matthew, and they controlled him in every type of way, down to food. They would take his meat, basically. We didn't always eat together. I thought him and Stephen was very close, so Stephen would manipulate me. Mom, can we and Maddie eat up in our room? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I'm thinking that's his best friend, that's his brother. That's how he made his thing. But that's a lie. He kept Matthew up under his wing on purpose. Matthew never wanted to be around Stephen, and I don't know how I didn't see that. So they would take his food. They would actually only let him eat his vegetables. So yes, when I fed Stephen, he only got vegetables and like healthy things, and it was minimal, like oatmeal and things like that. He did not get meat. You stole from my son. And actually, when I tried to feed him, my son Matthew said, Mom, that's bold. They used to take my food all the time. That's bold. You get what I'm saying? So yes. Now Stoney, I did starve her. I did. 9 more months, you going, your big ass. She was 13. My son told me how she used to sit on his face, and he said, Mom, it stinks real bad. And she was, you know what I'm saying? Fuck that. Yes, I did. I did. And then oatmeal is all that girl got. And she lucky she got that once a day.
Stoney only got oatmeal? Is that what you're saying?
Oatmeal once a day. She's very lucky she got that. And I even have to hide the fact that I was giving her oatmeal for Matthew because he didn't want me to feed her, and he had every right to feel that way.
Hold on. Miss Blair, can we get Kleenex on here?
No, I'm good.
You're okay? Okay. I just have a few more questions. When you were physically harming Stephen, was it ever your intent to also cause any sort of serious mental harm?
Well, I don't understand what you mean.
When you were hurting him physically, was it also your intent to cause any sort of serious mental harm?
What do you mean, mentally damage him?
Yes.
Like beating him in the head?
No? Like making it so that his thoughts aren't right.
No,
That
never.
makes sense? Okay.
Physical punishment on what you did to my child, because I had always told my kids the worst thing you can ever do to somebody is break them. I always told my son that, and I always told the girls the worst thing you could do is cry rape on somebody if they didn't rape you. They fully knew what they were doing.
So you were only intending physical punishment?
Yes.
All right, now, just so that I'm clear, you weren't allowing them to treat your other children like this, were you?
What do you mean?
You weren't allowing them to sexually assault.
No, I wasn't allowing that. I never knew.
That's exactly,
You get what I'm saying?
That's exactly what I wanted to know. You didn't know until afterwards.
It's like,
Am I right?
yes.
Okay.
It's this one instance, I was asleep. I said, Matthew, why you didn't tell me? He said, Mom, I even ran the hallway and I had your hand. I was asleep. My son ran out and grabbed my hand. He was 6 and he was doing like this, trying to wake me up. Stephen was grabbing him back by the back of his shirt, pulling me. And I said, Matthew, why didn't you just scream out? He said, I don't know. You get what I'm saying? He even had my hand pulling on me, trying to wake me up. And since I'm a hard sleeper, I didn't wake up. So to hear my son say that to me is real fucked up. That shit happened right up under my nose. So, man, I don't regret none of this. I don't regret any of it. Matthew is my son. That's my baby. There's no way that his brother and sister should know what he feels like inside. There's no way.
Understood?
I don't feel no remorse for the death of them demons.
Okay, all right. I'm going to accept the plea unless either counsel's dissatisfied. Oh, medical examiner's report, go ahead.
Your Honor, the medical examiner report for Stephen Gage Blair is Joint People and Defense Exhibit number 1. It's dated March 27, 2015. The medical examiner's report for Stoney and Blair is Joint People and Defendant Exhibit number 2, all dated March 27, 2015.
Okay, they're accepted and they're admitted. Go
Your
ahead.
Honor, I'm wondering if Ms. Blair ever called the police to report it.
Can you answer that question?
Why is she asking?
We're just trying to make a clear record.
You mean to report what they had done? No.
What they had done to Matthew.
No. But after I found out about Stephen, even before I started hitting him, I did actually call the police on advice, and I told them like a hypothetical situation, like because I was scared, like, you get what I'm saying, what's going to happen with my other two. I definitely didn't want to lose Gabby and Matthew. And I definitely did. I was definitely about to leave Matthew after that just happened, but I called the police and I'm asking them in a case where it's one brother that's been raping the other, what can be done? Will they take both kids out of the home? And he said, well, actually, yes, they would take both kids out of the home, but this is a case for CPS. And they said, did that happen to you? And I said, no, it's actually a friend. He said, the best thing I can do is tell you to call CPS and they can guide you further on what to do. And they said, but basically it has to be an investigation, so both will be taken out of the home. You get what I'm saying?
I understand.
And how they manipulate, I was their mother. I was their mother. So if they can manipulate me, no.
Okay.
No. And I was not letting Stoney go anywhere. I'm glad. I actually was going to turn myself in right after Stephen died. And I told my son Matthew that, I fucked up. I got to go, and I got to go turn myself into the police. I got to go turn myself in. And he said, turn yourself into what? And I said, Matthew, turn myself into the police. That means I got to go because I killed somebody. And then he said, I don't want you to go. When he said that, that was it. So I put Stephen in the freezer, and I said, I'm going to stay with my kids as long as possible. And I'm glad I did, because if I had not have done that, I would not have found out about Stoney. You see what I'm saying? So everything happened how it was meant to happen.
Okay.
She could have been right with them, fooling everybody. And my son Matthew in the end would have been totally ruined.
Your Honor, I have in my hand the postmortem report for Stoney Ann Blair and for Stephen Gage Berry, and the prosecutor and I are using it as both joint exhibits of Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2, and we tendered them to the court.
Okay. I'll accept them.
To help you make a determination on a factual basis.
The medical examiner's reports have been accepted as 1 and 2, and they are consistent with the testimony that was just provided by Ms. Blair. I believe there's a sufficient factual basis to accept the plea at this point. Counsel, or either counsel, would have any promises, threats, or inducements that were not disclosed on this record.
The people are not.
Defense is not, Your Honor.
Are counsel satisfied that the court has complied with the court rules?
on.
Defenses.
Okay. I'll accept the plea. I'll accept the plea as knowing, accurate, and voluntary. And we have a sentencing date. In this case, it would be 2 weeks from today, which takes us to July 13th. Is that good for you, Mr. Harris?
I have a question about that. I'm still in the middle of a family trial, and I go tomorrow. It's supposed to be for closing, and the 27th for best interest. So will that interfere with that?
No, this is separate.
13th is fine.
Go ahead, it's not gonna work for us. Is it possible to do it on
I'm here every
a
day.
Friday, the 17th? Possible?
Is that good for you, Mr.
That'd be
Harris?
fine, Your Honor.
Okay. Friday, July 17th.
You can step back, Ms. Blair.
Coming back.